Can you believe the incredible hype around Figment the Little Dragon at Walt Disney World's Epcot? Figment had a meet and greet debut on Sunday, September 10th for the first time in many, many years, a desire that has been around for many Disney fanatics. Well, when the meet and greet made its debut on September 10th, it had over a 5-hour wait at one point. But you may be asking why. Why would anyone want to wait 5 hours to meet a purple dragon? Why do people love Figment so much? In this video, we are going to dive into the purple dragon and see why people love him so much. Let us also start by saying if you would like an even more in-depth video going into the complete lore and history of Figment, make sure you check out Disney Dan. He is the king of making videos relating to Disney Parks characters. He is also one of the biggest supporters of more Figment in the parks and the Disney community. Back to the amazing little dragon and his sidekick. The little purple dragon would be created by Imagineer Tony Baxter. The concept of Dreamfinder and Figment came about in the 1970s. Originally, it was supposed to be at Disneyland. However, the character would have been Professor Marvel and an impish little sidekick, which would have been a dragon. This concept had legs and would eventually be seen as potential and would be brought about when the construction of Epcot began. The goal of Figment was to be a unique character, specifically to be found at the brand new theme park of Epcot. They wanted to utilize Figment to set this now park away from the Magic Kingdom that was focused on fantasy and Disney characters. Figment made his debut back in 1982 with the opening of Epcot. Figment was a childlike dreamer who embodied imagination and fit perfectly with the theme of Epcot, which was focused on innovation, education, technology, and imagination. Figment would be featured in his own pavilion at the opening of Epcot called Journey into an Imagination. Its focus was to allow adults and kids to have fun and use their imagination. On March 5th, 1983, he would get his own ride featured in the pavilion. Figment would be featured with a scientist-like wizard individual named Dreamfinder. The duo would become beloved by Epcot goers and those who grew up in the 80s and 90s. Figment would embody the phrase figment of the imagination. Figment would be composed of several different animals and have a sense of childlike wonder. The hit song, One Little Spark, which Dreamfinder would sing to describe his dragon-like friend, would be an instant hit for those parkgoers. Figment slowly but surely becomes an important asset to the park, eventually becoming the icon of Epcot doing what Disney set out to do: have the theme park focus on a non-IP character. The 1983 ride would be beloved by fans during the time, as Dreamfinder with his Dreammobile vehicle would collect dreams, thoughts, and ideas. The ride would then essentially take you through the world of imagination with rooms representing art, literature, performing arts, and science. All things that are utilized by the imagination. The ride was extremely unique and truly unlocked the imagination of kids everywhere. On top of that, you would exit the ride in the still existing ImageWorks. However, this ImageWorks looked very different from the one we know today. This would have the focus on creativity and fun. The area would include an interactive playground with giant kaleidoscopes, bubble projectors, video recording, electronic painting, and a stage to act. This original ImageWorks would also feature the iconic and memorable Rainbow Corridor, which people would know because Michael Jackson would famously take a photo in it. Joining this ride and fun area would include a meet and greet with Dreamfinder and Figment. They would be a combined walk-around character where guests would meet Figment and Dreamfinder and discuss the world of imagination with them. This meet and greet, like the ride, would be very, very popular, essentially becoming ingrained in the minds of Disney fans during the 80s. In 1985, another edition of Figment and Dreamfinder would be added to the park with a show over the lagoon, where Dreamfinder would light up the sky with color and magic. It was truly a journey into his imagination with an epic battle between the good and bad in his imagination. Though this does not focus directly on Figment, it does showcase those aspects from Dreamfinder. Throughout the 80s, Figment became used more and more, truly becoming the icon of Epcot. In 1988, Figment would get introduced into the classroom to teach the language arts through imagination. Figment would take students on a journey in each short. The shorts would range from 10 to 17 minutes with a blend of animation and live action. Figment would take students into his playhouse realm called Figonia, where he would take them on an adventure. He would teach everything from reading to writing to creative storytelling. The series would also include other Disney characters and overall be very popular with kids from the late 80s and early 90s. On October 10th, 1998, the original attraction closed for a major renovation. This upset many die-hard Epcot and Figment fans who had grown up with the character. The new ride would be called Journey into Your Imagination with an updated overall concept. The goal of the new ride was to pull together the concept of imaginary science, essentially to bring about a science institute of those made-up Disney characters. The theme change would be due to the success of the 3D attraction Honey, I Shrunk the Audience that opened in 1994. The Disney team wanted to make it more thematically coherent, hence they created what was called the Imagination Institute, in which Dr. Nigel Channing would take you on a tour of the building. The ride began with an imagination scanner that would tell riders they had no imagination. Then Channing would take them through several different labs. The concept is very similar to what we know today with the ride, however with less Figment. Essentially, Figment's appearance was taken down to just cameos throughout the queues. Disney essentially eliminated a beloved character in Figment. Guests would also be very upset that Dreamfinder, an extremely popular character at the Disney parks, was nowhere to be found. Dreamfinder and Figment were icons of Epcot during the 80s and early 90s, and now Dreamfinder was nowhere to be found and Figment was reduced to nothing. This late 90s and early 2000s period is also when Disney began focusing on corporate synergy and IP strategy. Through Michael Eisner, their CEO, they wanted to focus more on bringing beloved or newly created Disney characters with the parks and movies. These characters were the ones you could make money off of, the ones that could sell merchandise and movies. Hence, Figment and Dreamfinder, being original characters with no supporting movies or shows, would be reduced as there was a little value seen by executives. Due to the corporate synergy aspect, Disney would lean into utilizing Figment as a supporting festival character. Like that, we would see today where Figment is featured in the festival starting in the 90s. Essentially, they were utilizing the corporate synergy of Figment as a mascot for the park with the festivals to showcase them learning more about these different aspects, like World Flood or Flowers. Like that, a Flower and Garden Festival starting in 1994, Food and Wine Festival in 1996. However, Dreamfinder would essentially cease to exist from the park as the 90s came to an end. This new ride would be a total bust for Disney and Epcot fans alike. Though those guests who did not make yearly visits didn't seem to care about the changes. ImageWorks would also go through significant changes during this time period as well. The imagination and fun aspects were toned down. It became known as the ImageWorks, the What If Lab, sponsored by Kodak. This would have less interactive areas, including taking away the Rainbow Corridor. It would also be turned into just a small downstairs area of the building instead of having 2 levels. The main positive addition to the area came in 2002 with a Creative Figment section, but other than that, the ImageWorks area had a very few changes or developments from 1999 on. The sponsorship by Kodak did not help the growth and development of the area and took away many of the imagination aspects, which upset guests who wanted to dive further into Figment's world of magic and wonder. The complaints and concerns about the ride caused it to once again close on October 8, 2001. It would go through many major renovations. The attraction would finally reopen on June 2, 2002, called Journey into Imagination with Figment. The Walt Disney Company made sure to add Figment into this ride and provide him with a much larger role, as they wanted to make sure those die-hard Figment and Epcot fans who were now aging into adulthood would be happy. The ride would also bring back the song One Little Spark, which was a key reason for the success of the original ride. The concept of this new ride would be similar to the previous, where you'd be going on a tour of the Institute. However, instead, you would be going through the 5 human senses: sound, sight, smell, touch, and taste with Dr. Nigel Channing. In this open house, you're supposed to learn more about the senses that help you utilize what makes sense. However, as the tour goes on, you realize Figment keeps crashing the tour, wanting to utilize your imagination. Figment does things during the tour like turning into a skunk spraying the audience. The ride, which is the current iteration, would have more success than the previous. However, still to this day, die-hard fans are not happy with it. Those who visited Epcot in the 80s miss the nostalgia of the original ride. The fact that the original captured the concept of utilizing the imagination. Though some were satisfied that the fact that Figment had returned, Dreamfinder was still missing. The only homage to the beloved character would be a name on the door in the lab, Dean Finder. Re-adding Figment was a key for Disney. They utilized the value of Figment paired with Epcot. He started to become more and more prominent throughout the 2000s and 2010s with pin trading events, festivals, anniversaries. Everything at Epcot began to feature Figment. They realized that the corporate synergy that the money-making marketing of Disney for merchandise could extend to the little purple dragon. Figment popped up on more and more merchandise throughout the park, making the character more desirable for fans and collectors. 2005, Disney would also bring back Figment Meet and Greet. However, this meet and greet would be very different from the one from the 80s. Once again, Dreamfinder was missing, and this time Figment was a large walk-around character. Very different approach from the previous version of Figment that was a puppet. This meet and greet character, however, would disappear in the mid-2000s, making many people yearn to meet Figment once again. The people would want more Figment throughout the 2010s. Eventually, Figment would expand outside of the world of Epcot and Disney World after Disney acquired Marvel in 2009. Marvel and Disney began to develop the Disney Kingdom series, which highlighted attractions from the Disney parks, providing a backstory for these rides. In 2014, Marvel would release a series of backstories for Figment. The book series would be written by Jim Zub and illustrated by Felipe Andrade, would showcase the world of wonder and imagination of Dreamfinder and Figment. It would provide an actual backstory and history of the two characters, which many fans had wanted for years. It is also important to note this is the only reference to Dreamfinder the company has had since the 80s and 90s, which gave hope to many fans that Dreamfinder may return. Though the parks continued to utilize Figment throughout the 2010s and into the 2020s, he was still missing from meet and greets. People were getting their Figment fix from riding the ride, buying the merchandise, and the new comics. But they wanted a chance to meet the Purple Dragon. Finally, on September 10th, 2023, Figment would meet with guests once again. Lines would stretch all over the park with wait times close to over 5 hours. Die-hard fans would wait in line to meet the Epcot legend. This once again has confirmed the love of Figment. People are currently booking vacations to Disney World to meet the iconic character. His importance to the park is unmatched and fans still love him dearly. Due to this, we predict this love and admiration for Figment to continue to the park. There were rumors around 2018, 2019, when talks of the Epcot overhaul was occurring, that there would be an update to the Figment ride. Many rumors were swirling that it would return to be closer to the original, with hopes of an epic return of Dreamfinder. However, no update would come to the ride, which is blamed to be on COVID-19. Maybe eventually leading to an updated ride once capital expenditure returns to the park. What do you think? Do you think there should be an updated ride and more Figment at Epcot? Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and follow. Believable Truths.